Nice to meet you.
And you.
What a beautiful film.
Thank you very much.
It's just not only the cinematography, just looking at it, as a film on the screen, which it is, it's beautiful. The scenery, I loved it, and the story is great.
Thank you.
So kudos to you.
And to everyone that made the film.
Yes. But did her role, as we say in Texas, Katrin, as we say in Texas, Katrin is one tough cookie.
She is, isn't she? I think she's sort of like surprisingly tough. She doesn't even realise she is until things happen to her and she goes... I think she starts off and she's like this very delicate little flower, and then as time goes on she gets more and more resilient, and I think the whole journey for her is about actually learning that she's kind of great and really clever and better than what she's been getting. She deserves better.
I was going to ask, did her role, though, as a woman in a male-dominated industry, it's a period piece, did that play into your mindset and, for the portrayal?
Of course. I mean, Katrin's actually based on a real character, a woman called Diana Morgan, who was a writer for Ealing Studios, which was a big film company that were making a lot of comedy and propaganda film in that period. And Diana Morgan was a writer that was brought in by the film company to write the nausea, they called it, which was the female dialogue. And actually she was very, very talented, and after the war she made a lot of movies. She wrote a lot of movies and with a pseudonym, so as a male writer, she had a men's name so that she could be on the poster, because they wouldn't put a woman's name on the poster unless they're an actor. So, yeah, I thought about what it must have been like back in the day, especially now, now it's different, women are in the workplace, we have a voice. But then it was really extraordinary for a woman to be in that sort of situation, really extraordinary. Even in the 60s, women were not in creative positions like that. So, we still have a way to go as well. I'm not saying that we're kind of, there, but... especially just in the 40s as well, sexism was just a regular thing. One of the earliest things that Katrin's told is that she cannot be paid as much as the men, and she just accepts it. It's not even like, hang on a minute, but she just goes, oh yeah, of course, because that's the way it is. And then later on she challenges it when she starts to understand that she should be getting paid more. Yeah, so she's an extraordinary character for someone in the 1940s.
Is it interesting, though, to make a film about making a film? The uniqueness must have just been, you don't get the opportunity to do that as an actor a lot of times.
We don't. I mean, there have been a few films about making a film, but as an actor, definitely, for me to play a screenwriter, was really refreshing and interesting, because I realised that screenwriters get really badly treated. Like the actors come in and they change the lines and they want ownership over this and that and, whatever. It was good for me in that respect. But we all making the film were so passionate about filmmaking, and I felt like that was our favourite stuff to make, was the film within the film stuff. And we knew what we were doing. We knew what we were talking about for once in our lives, because we make films all the time.
There's a scene that you're in your office and the bombs are going off outside. Could you feel the intensity? That must have been just scary, too. I know it's a movie, but the fact
there were not really bombs going off.
No, I figured that much. But was that just scary to have?
Yeah, and, I think we spoke to a lot of people that lived through the Blitz in London, and it was a nightly occurrence. I mean, they would hear bombs going off and they would be in their air raid shelters or they would be underground, and they just, what happened was that people just accepted loss as something that happened. So loss of property, loss of people, and they just got on with it. And I think that's, it was an extraordinary time in history when there's an inner city war going on. Like London was under attack and people were living there and they just got on with it. And people are really incredible in desperate times, how they can kind of just be resilient and get through it. And I guess Catherine, in the film, the script is so important to her that she, for so many reasons, that she has to kind of just get through it and not worry about the bomb going off. And actually, her staying in that office and writing the script saved her life, because if she'd have been at home, she would have been killed in the bombing. I think so. I think art in general. I think the message of the film is that. I think that, you know, in desperate times, we need that. We need art, and it can really influence us and change us. Or not even in desperate times. It's just the power of it. I think it can. I think that's why La La Land has been such a huge success. Is that it's sort of a time when people really needed an optimistic, fun film, even though it's bittersweet. I think that it was a success because it came at a time when people were feeling pretty bad, and they needed it. So film is really powerful. And for unknown reasons, you can be, you know, in floods of tears or really inspired, or, you know, it depends on the individual, but it gets through to people. And I think that's what this film is about. I would describe Their Finest as a heartwarming and moving wartime comedy about filmmaking, propaganda filmmaking. We were so lucky on this film to have like the creme de la creme of like British actors, as well as, you know, Jake Lacey, who sort of steals the show actually as the American. There were days where I was on set looking around me thinking, wow, this is like Richard E. Grant and Jeremy Irons and Bill Nighy and then obviously Sam Claflin, who I spend a lot of time with in the film. And it was just really, really great to be surrounded by lovely, lovely actors. And we all had fun. No, everyone took the work seriously, but they didn't take themselves seriously, which I always appreciate. Working with Bill Nighy, he's so brilliant comedically and dramatically. I kind of had to remind myself to act sometimes, because I'd just be going, oh, wow, he did that there, you know. It's very lucky. Well, of course, you know, there's always time for love and laughter. I think it's this coping mechanism, and I think us Brits, we when things are pretty bad, we tend to kind of have a party or a laugh or go out for a drink, or and I think of course we need to do that. I think war brings out obviously war is awful, but but I guess, I mean, in this instance, the Second World War, during the Blitz in London, people said that it was a really obviously tragic time, but also a kind of galvanizing time for the community, and everybody sort of got together, and there was, you know, people that they say that it was probably the strongest sense of community they've ever felt. And in London, that's saying something, because we've sort of lost our sense of community now. But I think it brings people together out of necessity. I read the script and just thought it was so charming and well written, and precise, and all the characters so well fully formed, and I wanted to work with Alona, and all the actors. At the time of reading the script, Sam was attached, and so was Bill, so it was very attractive to me, but also the role itself, because it's unusual to read a film about a central female character that's not kind of front-footed. She's back-footed. She's an observer because she's a writer. So I found that refreshing. Yeah.